Hello, welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and today I will be unboxing the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion set to Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep is a great, fun, board game set in Waterdeep, the city within Forgotten Realms, setting of Dungeons and Dragons. Fun. I've played with friends, with family. Actually have a playthrough on this channel that I played long before I even had this one. Just my buddy had it, and he'd combined both of the expansions from this into this. Not technically correctly, but works all the same. If you just throw everything together, it functions. Anyways, that buddy is no longer. He moved out of state, so I got the game about a year ago. I've enjoyed it, played it with family and such. Now I want to get the expansion so I have more variety with how the game can be played. So, Scoundrels of Skullport here. It's an expansion that adds technically two different expansion modules. It has Skullport itself, which adds corruption, and that is basically which is the idea that you can get more rewards by taking consequence in turn. Corruption is negative points at the end of the game, so you can get some better rewards with it, but you get negative stuff at the end of the game. And Undermountain adds just bigger stuff, bigger quests, bigger ways to get rewards, all of that. So let's check out what's actually in here. Ooh. Little advertisement for things coming out in the summer of 2013. It's been out for a while. Get your book, which I love, shows you how to store things in this box correctly, and it's designed to store both of the expansions independently, and I love these games for how easy they make it to store the things you need for the game. They go over all the components, the setup for the different expansions, the new information you need for new buildings that are included here, a bit about the new action, because this expansion also lets you go up to, I believe, 6 players instead of 5. And just some rule clarifications that they thought might be necessary after the original game, which was nice for them to do. And then, just like the other one, quick reference on the back. Makes it easy. Alright. So we have little boards to punch stuff out of. You get new buildings. Let's see if you can tell here. Where is it? Here. Kind of see this little skull. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. And you see this little skull with smoke around it. That's Skullport expansion related things. Whereas the ones with this little beholder, that's Undermountain expansion related things. So you get both. You get the tokens you need for your new faction, and you get a bunch of new tokens that are 5 of a resource in order to make it basically a way to quickly expand how many of the wooden blocks you have without having to have a huge number more wooden blocks. These, doing counts of 5, which is very useful with some of the Undermountain stuff, where you're getting a whole lot of more pieces. So Skullport. So depending on which expansion you use, you add a board that adds 3 more just general spaces. If you have Skullport, you have the Slaver's Market that gives you 4 blocks total plus a corruption, or you can get 2 of anyone. So that could be either wizards or clerics, which are more difficult to get. You can get 2 of those, or you can combine it up however you want, but you get a corruption, or you can get a quest, an intrigue card, and 5 gold along with the corruption. So you can get some big rewards in here as long as you're willing to take a corruption with Skullport. Undermountain adds a new block spot to just get one of anything, or the fighter rogue combined. It allows you to get 2 intrigue cards at once. And there's a spot to get a quest and play an intrigue card. So here's a way to play an intrigue card other than the harbor. So that's Undermountain. So each of them adds 3 new spaces, which is why in order to use the 6th player, the Gray Hands, you must be using at least one of the expansions, because you need those extra spaces in order to make the game function. Otherwise, it gets pretty cramped. Skullport also adds this board. This is the corruption track, and there are all of these little wooden figures. And you begin the game. I'm not going to weigh them all out, but just example. There's little skulls you can see on here. So there's 1 on this one. There are 3 on all of the others, etc. It will fill up all of them with the skulls that are in here. Little wooden skull tokens. So if someone takes a corruption, now all of a sudden every one of these is worth -1. So that person has -1. If they take another corruption, now every one of these is worth -2. So in total, this is now worth -4. Someone else gets 1, and they have -2. You still have -4, etc. And the more that is off of this track, the more each individual one can be worth -9. So it can get pretty bad. And because I've had one game where it actually did come down to it, if you need to take a corruption once there are none left on here, you just go backwards on the track on the board by 10. It's not and this is, because otherwise these calculate at the end of the game, so you can manage to move your points around and manage to get rid of your corruption. You can try and do that, but once you're taking corruption and there's none left on here, you just immediately lose the points. We get all of the figures that we need for the new faction, and then 1 extra one for each of the other factions, because depending on the way the game is being played, you may end up with 1 extra agent. So they included an extra one of those for each person. Where is their quest? There it is. Let's open up these. Alright. And again, let's go even closer here. Alright, so we got okay, there we go. No thanks. We have new intrigue cards. And somewhere over on the side here, you can see Skullport and Undermountain. So you get different ones here, but some of these, of course, Skullport ones interact. Choose an action space containing an agent of an opponent with more corruption than you. You can use that space. Place a corruption from the corruption track on each of 2 different action spaces. In other words, you can make it where action spaces that don't normally have corruption now. You can just instantly score 6 points for each opponent that currently has more corruption than you. You can take 3 corruption, which is basically one whole, if you remember, one whole level on the corruption track. from the corruption track and just remove it from the game. All corruption is worth 1 additional negative point. So if you're not going to have corruption at the end, that's a great one to basically make it for everyone else. Or return a corruption from your tavern to the corruption track, so you can put your corruption back. Anyways, mandatory quest. And this mandatory quest has a reward that lets you return corruption to the track, so that one's actually not too terrible. And then for Undermountain, we get a bunch of others, you know. You get to take first player and some gold. You can give someone a cleric and get 8 points. Give an opponent 4 gold from your tavern. So you can give stuff away to score points right away. Everyone, there's a little more intrigue for everybody. You get a lot, everyone gets a little bit. But yeah. So, intrigue cards. Then we get new Lords of Waterdeep, and basically 3 for each. So these 3 are if you're doing Skullport, and this one is at the end of the game you choose a quest type and get 6 for each quest. In other words, you get to choose what kind of quest you're going to go after. Here, basically for completing the quests that have the little that are from this module from Skullport, give you and also buildings from the module give you points, and the Xanthar is great. At the end of the game, you score 4 points for each corruption in your tavern. So you can actually gain points if no one uses too much corruption. Or you just lose less points if it is really bad. And then with Undermountain, we get these 3. At the end of the game, you score 3 for each so each quest you complete. So he's just trying to do as many quests as possible. 4 for each non-mandatory quest with the Undermountain symbol. And at the end of the game, 5 for each quest you completed that is worth 10 or more points. So he's trying to do the big quests. And you get each big quest is worth even more for him. So, few lords, and then quest cards, which sorry. 2 more intrigue over here. And then the rest of these should be quests? Yeah. And does this go on bottom side, I guess? Yeah. Okay. And then a whole bunch of quests, which we'll quickly split here. Skullport quests may include making you take corruption as a reward, may let you return corruption to the track. Yeah. So, a lot of them will utilize corruption within them. Although, of course, not all of them. And return up to 3 corruption from your tavern to the track. Whenever you assign an agent to... so here we get a plot quest. Whenever you can put an agent on Aura's Realm's shop, you can take another 4 gold and a corruption and place them in your tavern. Which I believe... Okay. And on the... And Aurora's Realms shop is that on the main board, it's the it's the place where you can get 4 gold. So basically, you can get 4 extra gold for getting a corruption there. You know, plinth. So similar things for other places. But yeah, once per turn, whenever you gain any corruption, you can draw an intrigue card. It's a great plot quest to have if you're going to get some. Whenever any player takes the first player, and you and that player also take a fighter from the supply. Okay, so yeah, some interesting plot quests. Those are always the most fun to me, is the plot quests. They do great things. And then you'll notice on the Undermountain one, there are just some big quests with big rewards. Yeah, so there's like something, as you've seen, there's like a few 40-point rewards. Like, yeah, it's like, that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of stuff you have to get for it, but still. And there's a number of them. So those are giant leaps in points. There's a few of those. Then we get some plot quests, you know. Like that right there. You can complete face-up quests at Cliffwatch Inn as though they were active quests for you. So you can actually complete quests without taking them. You know, getting extra resources when you take a quest that uses those resources. And then back to the back end of this. Yeah. So yeah, an extra faction, which I will point out, there is actually a spot already on the base game board for that player. It was in the original game, like they were planning this. And then basically 2 different modules that you can just add one of to the game in order to add that 6th player, or you can remove some of the base game components in order to make it where it's not too complex when you add both of them. But yeah, new quests, intrigue cards, Lords of Waterdeep, little boards with, you know, some just little spaces for the game, you know, for the board, as well as new buildings to make, the corruption track for the Skullport, all included here, as well as a very nifty and well-designed way to organize everything. So, yeah, I'll link below if you want to pick up the, not that one. I've already done that one. The Scoundrels of Skullport Expansion 4, Lords of Waterdeep. Thank you for watching. Bye.